tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your #1 source in after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
And let the Titans come and kill everything ever.
Oh, wait. We got the old open.
There we go. Yes.
I'm so happy.
Steven, you're the best today. Now that Megan's not here, we can do the awesome open.
Steven's always the best.
Okay, so.
And don't you say that about Megan. She's awesome.
I didn't say she wasn't. I just said now that she's not here, we can play the awesome intro.
Yeah, she won't be insisting that we have to play the Wings of Freedom. Although I came down on the Wings of Freedom side in that debate, if I remember.
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
You don't get to say anything.
We were
I
split
do get to say something.
table-wise.
No, we're going to mute your mic.
But the one whose mic needs to be muted and sipping a glass of water, so I will extend my talk for a little bit. John, quick!
I had already swallowed, dude. So. Okay, that's Freudian slip. Please, somebody.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
His mic was muted, guys.
I know his mic was muted. I could tell. That's probably a good thing. You're really quick at the swallowing there. But, Katie Cullen.
Hi, all my buddies.
And guys, I'm Dave Klein, and we're ready to talk about the Female Titan Expedition. They're finally there to go.
57th expedition.
Yeah, it's 57th expedition.
Titan.
Probably going to go really well. I think it's going to be off to a good start. So, we get the group already off to their start right at the beginning as they are heading out, and there's a support. Apparently, there's already a support squad as they're heading out of the main building area, taking care of Titans for them so they can get out of the main town.
Cureness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as they're doing that, and Sasha watching as one of them having trouble taking care of a Titan, they...
Oh no, it was too shallow. It was too shallow.
Yeah, it's like, just ignore it. Don't worry about it. We got to get out of here. We got plenty more problems to worry about in just a moment.
Yeah.
So they bust out into the field, and we find out about Irwin's long-range scouting technique, and Aurora, or Oro, yeah,
I don't know how they're pronouncing his name again. It doesn't, yeah.
It's like Oro or something?
He points out the important factor that expeditions outside the wall are all about not fighting. That is the entire point, is to try and avoid any fighting at all costs.
Well, especially in this expedition, because the main objective is to just get Eren to Shinganshine district is like the stated goal. So it's just like, yeah, we're not out to like murder Titans. We're out to actually get you from point A to point B with the least amount of us dying as possible.
And then back to point A. They were talking last episode about the whole point is to go out and then come back.
Yeah.
Any ulterior motives will have to wait.
But point is, try to avoid any killing at all costs, because that means we'll probably lose. So that is the entire point. And then they show how the formation works, which was awesome, really well done.
It was a really good graphic.
They've got this great system where there's a set of flares, and I'm losing my colors. Please take it.
There's the red flares that you shoot off, which means you see a Titan. So you see a Titan, you shoot out a red flare, and then another person, the next formation over, will shoot out a red flare because they see it in the direction of it. So eventually it works its way back to the commander, who will then, or I should say Irwin, who will then shoot off a green flare for a new direction they should all start heading.
They're basically going in a seashell formation. It's like they have like picket lines out front, which are smaller groups that are, their job is to spot Titans.
Guys, we have a caller on the line.
We do?
Yeah.
And on the line, though, we have with us a certain Clifford Chapin, known as Connie Springer. How are you doing?
Hey, hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
We're doing great. Really excited to have you on the show.
I'm really happy to be on the show in voice form.
Yes. Well, that's how we know you, and I'm going to imagine you the whole time as Connie, which is probably
there you go.
thing.
It's actually the perfect way to talk to me.
I think so. I mean, as long as we're not screaming and picking you up by your head, it's probably the way to do it.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be the first one, so it's okay.
That's true. So, what was it like getting on Attack on Titan? Had you ever seen or did you know about the show before you got on it?
It was an interesting process. I mean, I had heard of Attack on Titan. I think everybody had heard about Attack on Titan by this point. And at the time, I'd only been voice acting with Funimation for about probably about 10 months when the auditions came up. So like I was still really, really new and didn't have a lot of experience or of a name or anything with the company. So I kind of went into the audition like, well, I'm not gonna get cast on this show. And but still, you go in with every intention or every positive outlook, and somehow I managed to snag the role. So it was pretty impressive. It was pretty surprising for me, being so new and everything.
Yeah, it's a major role.
Yeah.
And what was the audition process like for Attack on Titan? Were you specifically going for Connie, or did you just want to pick up anyone that you could?
Well, the audition process in general is typically like you go in and there's like a binder and it's full of characters, and you kind of just look at the binder and figure out which ones you want to read for. Pick like 3 or so. Mike McFarlane, the director of the show, he had actually asked that everybody pick 3 characters. One that you're really careful, not careful with, excuse me, really familiar with in your voice type, and then 2 that are a little bit outside of your normal performance style, so he can just hear you.
Yeah.
And I had not watched Attack on Titan, though I was familiar with it, so I kind of just picked 3 characters at random, and the 3 that I picked actually were Aaron, Reiner, and Armin. And so then when I got message saying that Mike has some hours for you on the show, it didn't say who I was playing, and it's funny because I can remember looking at Connie in the audition sides, but not going for him, because I actually misinterpreted what the character was like from the way that the character was described in the sides. And then when I got into the booth and Mike was like, yeah, you're going to be playing Connie, and he showed me who the character was, I was like, didn't they say in the sides that this guy was kind of dumb? I think that's what they said.
Yeah.
So that was like that's all I knew about him.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of funny, and then when I finally actually saw how the character acted and stuff, I was like, oh, I completely misinterpreted how the sides made him out, and
yeah,
so it was sort of serendipitous, because if I had known what Connie was like, I totally would have gone for him. But yeah, so it just worked out.
Yeah, he's actually, as far as like outside of like the main 3 trio, basically, Connie's actually probably my favorite side character personally. I love Connie.
He's my favorite side character too.
Yeah.
Coincidence.
Yeah, so he's an amazing character, and yeah, that's a huge role. So I'm curious, as you're so new into the voice acting world. I know there's a lot of people who I'm sure watch this show, because a lot of people like anime are really interested in voice acting. Like, what was it like for you even getting in? Because this is really fresh for you.
You mean like getting in with
Funimation and in general?
Yeah.
It was it was a huge moment in my life, to be sure, because just sort of like how you said, voice acting was something I wanted to do, ever since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I'd worked really hard on it growing up. Like, I had taken like radio and television courses throughout like high school.
Did you do fan dubs?
What's that?
Did you do fan dubs?
No.
Okay.
So then I went on into college and such like that, but doing like film production classes, and that's sort of actually how I learned acting, was through my film production classes, by actually directing short films, was what sort of made me realize, like, oh, this is how you act too. And so then I sort of set up a home recording studio, not anything amazing at all, and I went after like indie games, and like, friends of mine from college and stuff were doing projects where I could provide voiceover samples and stuff for it. So I just sort of kept honing the craft until it was finally like, all right, I'm booking indie stuff pretty well. I kind of want to go for more professional things, and I kind of was like, all right, well, there's nothing where I'm from, because I'm from Connecticut, and there's really no voiceover market there. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll move.
Yeah.
And I just sort of moved halfway across the country down to Texas, and applied, and then had an interesting encounter with Chris Sabat, who runs Positron.
Do tell.
Yep. And he called me in for a video game after hearing my demo. I booked the video game, and then he passed my name on to Joel McDonald. Joel McDonald called me in for an audition. That audition was Good Luck Girl Bimbo Gami Ga, and I booked it, and that was the rest of it ever since then.
Nice.
Just moved on. It was like, and I don't want anyone to think it was easy, because it was horrifyingly scary, and I had no idea what I was doing at any moment, but I somehow managed to pull it off. So it was like, it just sort of worked out, and I don't want anybody to think that's how it just happens for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we ask about the interesting encounter with Chris Sabat?
I can't go into super details about it, but it just sort of was, I met Chris, and he was like, I'm going to hook you up with our sound engineer, and you're going to send him your information and your demo and whatever else. And then they sort of just listened to it, and then they messaged me, and they were like, we really like the way you sound. We're going to call you in for something soon. I was like, oh, great. And then a week later, they called me in for the video game.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was quick, really quick turnover. Yeah. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, believe me, I almost cried. Almost cried when it happened, but it was like, oh man, you know, it was one of those sorts of things, you know, where I had dedicated so much effort and time and like sort of risk into it, and the whole like, I'm just going to move now, that for it to work out was so like, oh, I didn't mess up too bad. Okay,
yeah,
good job.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
That's always a fantastic feeling. Not that the three of us in this room can't totally understand that.
Success! Oh my god!
Or at least not starving. That's always
usually it's not starving.
Right?
That means you succeeded. All right, I can afford my food right now. I'm doing good.
LA to Austin, the feeling's the same.
Yeah, so now that you've gotten this role with Connie, and this is a great role that's going to keep on continuing, too, as far as we know from this episode, yeah. It is Attack on Titan, so I should say as far as we know. But
come on, season 2. Come on, season 2. That's all I want.
Do you feel like now that you've really started to build your resume with this great role that you can start to break into other big animes and games and all that?
Well, I mean, that's always the hope, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's sort of the weird thing about voice acting is that, like, you never really know what is in store for you tomorrow. So, I mean, I can have an audition, you know, and book it and know within like a day that it's like, okay, you're going to be on this show, and we need you to record this many hours for just this many episodes, and that's not even half the show. And it's like, holy cow, this is going to be great. I'm going to be able to afford a lot of comic books. But then, like, you know, then there'll be another week will come up, and you can have 3 auditions in that week and not book a single thing.
Yeah.
And you have that moment where you're like, well, probably shouldn't have bought all those comic books. But, I mean, I would like to. I hope to. Every time that I get to do something new is exciting, or every time I get to work with a different director for extended periods of time is just, I'm just grateful. You know what I mean? It's like that thing that I've wanted to do since I was a kid. So it's a fantastic feeling. But I would love to work into more video games and stuff. And like a lot of people that I know out here just recently got cast, or well, not cast obviously because it was recorded a while ago, but announced as being part of the second Tales of Exilia game.
Oh,
and like,
yeah.
And I've played the Tales video game since I was like a young teenager, so it was like that was really cool to hear about like a whole bunch of people out here, and I was like, man, whose drink do I have to buy to get in one of those?
Hey, you're like, all right, next Tales game in a couple of years.
Oh, I can only hope, man. I can only hope. But yeah, you know, I would love for it to just keep going, and I can get into more exciting things. Not to imply that anime is not exciting, but just more and more exciting roles and shows and games and stuff. I'd love to, if life goes that way, which would be great.
Are there any upcoming projects that you have your eye on? Something you'd like to audition for? Can you talk about those?
Upcoming projects, do I have some? Yes. Can I talk about them? No. But, like, I know there's some games maybe getting done pretty soon at Okratron that I would really like to be a part of if I could. But, you know, those are all, it's all sort of just what opportunities come. And that's the other thing, is, like, we never really know what's on our imminent horizon. But I mean, there are plenty of things that it's like, man, if something like that came up, it'd be great. But
yeah, and then when you do know, you're not allowed to talk about it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I can't say that. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations on all your success, especially with Connie, as we are obviously huge Attack on Titan fans. So I think you've been doing an amazing job, and you're keeping the spirit of the character alive in the English dub. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, that was awesome. So great having Clifford Chapin on. So, yeah, I mean, Connie's awesome. It's too bad, like, he didn't. When Connie appeared briefly at the beginning of the episode, I was like, yes, we're gonna hear Connie talk, and we knew that Clifford was probably gonna be calling in, and I was like, if only Connie had some lines this episode, but
no Connie this week.
No Connie this week, except for seeing him briefly look back nervous, like, oh.
But hey, we got Clifford, and that's better.
Yeah, no, that's definitely better. And on the chat, Rachel or Owen Harper saying, yay, Clifford Chapin, so really excited about that and disappointed about the NDAs, so she was hoping to hear about that. But hey, that's good for him that he has some NDAs, so definitely good for him on that.
That's always a good sign.
Definitely always a good sign. So I think we were just talking about the squad formations, and I think we had just wrapped up the squad formations, if I remember correctly.
I think the only thing we didn't cover is black smoke means a Titan has already broken the ranks.
Is that something that we basically find out pretty much immediately after? But yeah, or black smoke is a Titan has broken the ranks. I think it's a Titan variant specifically over outside of breaking the ranks. I think it's the variant. Like, okay, you got to really worry because there's a variant here who's going to be more dangerous than anything else and might cause issues.
And one showed up that was crab walking at Mach 6.
Oh, that was great. But that wasn't the variant, apparently. That's just normal Titan, so yeah.
Apparently they just do that.
That's just I wrote like a spider Titan, dog Titan. I like thinking of it like a spider Titan. It reminds me of a spider more so than a dog, but those are my favorite ones, just because those are the creepiest ones to me.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I always like seeing those ones. But yeah, we see the spider one as they force it to run into a tree. That's how you take care of them.
Just chasing down Sasha.
Yeah.
She starts screaming.
And yeah, punch of close calls there. Yeah, when you have, and as we find out, like pretty much immediately afterwards from some of the really good troops are with Armin. This area is really bad for taking down Titans because there's no trees, there's no buildings, there's nothing that you can use for Titans. So this is the absolute worst location you can be to get attacked by Titan.
Trying so hard to avoid them.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like that Spider Titan, probably not a good idea to go try to deal with it here where you don't have anywhere to use your 3D maneuvering gear outside the Titan itself.
But the tree worked pretty well.
Yeah, the tree did work pretty well. You have that one tree. Use it to your advantage.
Thank you, Groot.
Yes, thank you so much, Groot. Groot showing up all places. Groot always showing up.
Quick on the uptake.
Really quick. All right, so Armin notices that something is wrong out of the ordinary as a variant Titan comes, and as they deal with this variant Titan, it's like, all right, Armin's with some good scouts. They know their stuff. All of a sudden, a female Titan appears, which I believe is the first female Titan that we've seen in this show.
The first markedly female Titan as far as secondary sex characteristics go.
Right. I mean, not that we know if it doesn't.
We're talking about boobs.
Yes, we are.
but also
trying to be mature about it.
Well, I mean, also even the figure itself is also a female shape,
distinctly feminine, I guess you could say.
But it's the first time we've seen this in the show, and it really stands out for that reason, as well as the fact that it is running incredibly fast. Yeah. And it also looks different than all the other Titans who are kind of almost pot-bellied in a way. I mean, there's a couple abular Titans, but who lumber around. Also, can we point out that the first Titan they killed that they thought was the variant is doing this, like, strut power walk thing the whole time?
Was. I kind of wanted to queue up Staying Alive behind it.
Like, I felt like it needed to get somewhere in a New York minute. So, like, I gotta get to this place. Like, that's what it looked like to me.
I mean, it was kind of a variant in a way because it was ignoring Sis, Ness, and Armin as it was going by. and then they met. That's how they were kind of like able to kill it, is just because it just wasn't paying attention to anything.
It existed solely to show off that Sis and Ness knew what they were doing.
So,
Thank you!
Strut along, Titan. So on the chat, Rachel's saying that she's liking the newer, slower pace. As good as the beginning was of setting hopelessness in the world, she says that she's becoming a bit desensitized, so it's nice to see a bit of a slower pace to learn things. I feel like the pace, though, of this episode was pretty ramped up. It was pretty... like, there's that brief... moment in between during the let's move
the storm,
right, so like moving the rock, and then there's a little bit of a calm after that, and now like all of a sudden like things are going crazy again.
Death and murder.
It's kind of like the show is a hurricane, and we just went through the eye, and we were just like, oh, it's nice and calm. I guess like things are gonna slow. Nope.
I think that's
well, we've just introduced another
that's
skinless
a good analogy.
wonder, and it is never good when we have a skinless wonder show up.
Oh yeah. Definitely. And Armin pointing out some really key things here that he's noticing about this Titan. So, Armin, if you ever... anything's happening with Titans, listen to Armin. He seems to be the only one who gets it.
Yeah, Armin's brain just works a mile a minute. Like, after one encounter, he's already like, that's a human who can transform into a Titan. That's
like, I don't think this is a variant because it was intelligent. And he points out some great reasons why. So, first, the female Titan... as he falls over and tumbles over, his hood falls on his face, and it moves over the hood to look at his face, and then moves on. So he notices that's looking to see what he is, and also that all of his teammates who he's with, it swats them away and kills them, but it doesn't eat them. And all Titans eat people, so this is a Titan that's not eating anyone, which is really different.
And it protects the back of its neck.
Yeah, by putting its hand over, so it's much more intelligent. So he realizes that this has got to be an intelligent one, as he tells Reiner, who comes to help him out.
And John.
And John, yeah.
I like New John.
Yeah, I like New John, too.
I do.
New John is Eren without the psychosis. It really is.
I think he's got issues of his own, but they're just not as loud and ramped up as our shonen protagonists are.
Well,
but I think he's got some issues after losing Marco.
Well, yeah, that Ash, he's like, I'll never let it happen again.
Well, I think the difference between Eren and John is that it happened to John when he was a much more emotionally mature person who was able to like handle trauma.
Yeah.
Whereas Eren was a 9-year-old kid.
And also losing his mother.
Who also had trauma when he was 6.
Yeah, that's true. And like, murdered someone when he was 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Eren is exponentially more screwed up than hopefully Jean will ever be.
But yeah, so Ryder, you're pointing out, like, Jean, who are you? When Jean's trying to do the right thing and try to distract this Titan to help the rest of the troops get away. And he's like, we gotta do something and inform them, because this is not a normal variant.
Well, and they've also said, Armin brought up that she thinks that holy cow, that he thinks the Titan is going for Eren. And every single person right there has a different idea of where Eren is. Yeah. Well, he's up with these people. No, he's back here. No, he's in the protected position. So obviously they've all been fed misinformation, which
Commander
is
Irvin.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Commander Irvin with his misdirection, which is great.
Which kind of like harkening back like a couple episodes ago when Erwin went up to Eren and says, "Who do you think the real enemy is?"
Ignore me!
Yeah, and then forget I said anything.
Who do you think the real enemy is?
Ignore me! I will make that joke every time.
So like, so Erwin was spreading misinformation clearly because he I don't know like necessarily why. Like, did he think there was a traitor in the midst?
Possibly.
Rachel throwing out the question is. Isn't who has post-traumatic stress disorders, who doesn't in this show?
If you are in the scouting corps, you're all right.
Yeah, that's Sasha. There we go.
I mean, maybe because Shardis took her potato away.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. That would be her version of it.
We miss you, Potato.
One day, the potato will come back and then be eaten immediately.
Nah, I think that potato's gone.
There'll be another potato.
There can be more potatoes.
Yeah, we don't know this. This isn't canonical yet.
You think we're a little off topic?
No.
Yes.
Not at all.
No, there's potatoes.
I mean, it's part of Attack on Titan, so I don't think so. But
this is not Attack on Potato.
Well, that's what I would. That'd be an amazing show.
Giant potatoes lumbering around eating people.
He's like, no!
The end is Samwise Gamgee. Boil 'em, mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew.
It's like Attack of the Killer Tomato combined with Attack on Titan as potatoes.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes just kind of rolled over people, though.
Yeah, but that's where you combine the two shows. But regardless, they do end up trying to stop this female Titan.
So now somebody needs to make one of those videos with the opening where they digitally replace all the Titans' potatoes now.
With the
All right, listeners, that's this week's challenge. Do the thing.
I think that would be amazing. That would probably be a viral YouTube hit. So, they go after the female Titan, who is not a potato, unfortunately. And as they go after this female Titan, Armin points out, like, hey, put on your hood so it doesn't know who you are, then it won't kill you. Really quick thinking again by him, and he's right. She doesn't immediately kill anyone. She does swat them away. She does seemingly kill the horses. Good thing this is a cartoon.
Yeah, she sends that horse fly. She swats Armin's horse out from underneath him. It's like, no, that horse is, he's not coming back.
Yeah, but then, like, when she was standing over him, staring at him, she could very clearly see that it's Armin. Why isn't she killing him? Like, it's almost like she's debating as to whether or not to kill Armin.
Yeah, with the blood covering half of his face.
It's like, you are seriously the one person I didn't want to kill today. Why do you keep coming up?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because the first time, too, she looked at it and actually went away, where she killed the first two guys right away who weren't with Armin, so... That is an interesting question.
They're not main characters, so obviously
and,
they're just not important.
And Jean was going, like, he had attached her and he was flying at the back of the nape of her neck, but then she immediately turns and he sees it, and he has that, like, great moment of, it's like where you're in, like, a car or like you're riding a bike or something and your brakes are out and suddenly you see yourself going towards inevitable doom and there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, she grabbed his wire.
Yeah.
So he's just like she got my wire, I'm hosed, I'm gonna die.
Like, I don't know if anyone's had that exact situation, but whenever that happens, everything's like in slow motion. It really is. As you're like going towards that crash, you're just like, this is not going to be good.
I've been in enough car accidents to be familiar with that.
Yeah, well, as soon as you know it's coming, you're just like, it really is slow motion. But regardless, as Armin starts yelling out, she again makes the choice not to kill Jean, and Jean gets away.
It actually stays her hand. Her hand was going back to basically
punch him in the face.
Yeah.
But Armin starts screaming about, take revenge, she killed my friend, I can see them on the soles of her feet, just starts screaming at Jean to take revenge. And obviously he doesn't think Jean's going to be able to do anything, but it's a delaying tactic.
For Reiner to get an attack in.
Well, and think about it. If this Titan knows who Armin is, she knows who his friends are. And if we assume that her target is Aaron, Aaron's one of Armin's friends, you know, there's this moment of, did I step on that guy?
Did I screw up?
Shoot. Which friend is he talking about?
Yeah.
Which is enough to make her kind of stop and go, right.
But this does lead Reiner to come in and attack at her, and as he's going straight for the nape of the neck, instead of the ankle, which is kind of what they agreed was the better idea to go for, to at least just not kill her, just...
To hamstring.
The hamstring, thank you. To just make her fall over, as we saw with the other Titan earlier.
With the strutting Titan.
Yeah, with the strutting Titan. That's what they did, was took out the ankle first, was just to, hey, let's just hamper it and get the F out of Dodge. He goes straight for the nape, and she catches him, and it looks like she explodes him as she squeezes him and stuffs his head inside with his thumb. Her thumb.
I like that. She like put her like her thumb like right over his head, and I was just like, oh, Reiner's gonna die. I mean, like
this is not gonna end well.
I mean, that's what I thought was like she was crushing his head in.
Someone on Twitter captioned that "Pop goes the Reiner."
Yeah, that's what it looked like at first. And especially like when I first saw it and she did the thing with the thumb, I thought like it was like she was smashing his head into his body. That's how I imagined it. But no, Reiner escapes somehow unscathed.
Cuts a couple of her fingers off.
Yeah, cuts a couple of her fingers out and just drops out. And then they all just start running the hell away. And like, let's get out of here. As she turns to leave, staring at her hand and like where he cut her fingers off. And then
I needed that.
Yeah, like these are my fingers.
And then she gets up and starts running straight towards where Aaron is supposed to be.
Yeah, so somehow...
Towards the rear of the formation.
Right, and then that brings the question, like, how does she know? Like, does she overhear Armin somehow saying... Because in the conversation earlier, Armin was saying, like, I think she's going for Aaron, and then Armin's the one who deduces, during that conversation to Reiner, to Jean, he's like, hey, I think the rear is where he probably is because that's the safest location if we were all getting different places. And now somehow she's going to this location that Armin had deduced he was probably at, instead of just cutting through all of the ranks.
Well, we've had an entire episode without Aaron. I think the series thinks that's enough.
Yeah, we need him to go. That's exactly. It's like, well, we can't have her cutting through everything.
Yeah,
that'd be way too much.
Kind of looking back on it, it's like when Reiner escaped, I was just like, oh god, it's well, you know, he was third in the class, right?
Yeah, I think yeah.
Third or fourth, and like so I was just like, oh yeah, he escaped. But like, kind of looking at it, how did he actually do that?
You mean get third or get out of the hand?
Get out of the hand.
Well,
by cutting her fingers off.
Notice that his blades were cut short. Evidently, they got, you know, the blades snap off.
Yeah.
And he had the short blades when he came out, which would give him enough maneuvering room to slice through those fingers.
That's something I noticed too. His blades were much shorter.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like, because sometimes you see their blades snap, so I thought it was just him trying to desperately get out. His blades snapped or something like that.
Like, I guess it just.
But if you actually look at their blades, they are meant to cut off at different levels. So if he was smart enough to think ahead and go, okay, and snap them off and use the short blades for maneuvering.
Well, they're just like razor blades, you know? Like if you buy box cutters, they have that little divots in them.
I've been like putting my hands all over that pen all episode and like almost like putting it up to my face, and I just realized there's bite marks all over it.
Congratulations, that's what happens when you use a communal pen.
Why are people biting a pen and putting it back? This isn't kindergarten, elementary school.
Now we're really off topic.
Dave, don't worry about your syphilis. We'll get you a shot later. Continue on.
Apparently, people are also putting like gum under the tables here. It's like, what are we, in elementary school? I'm sorry.
Dave, back to the Titans.
No, we're done. The episode's over. So, we would go over predictions, but we can't. So,
remember, commenters, no spoilers. We do have people who are watching this for the first time.
Yeah, so guys, please no spoilers about anything, and especially as we get into this arc. And guys, thank you so much for watching. Once again, I'm Dave Klein. You can find me on Twitter at @TheDaveKlein. That is Klein.
And I'm John Quick. You can find me on Twitter at @NowQuick.
I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter and Tumblr at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. I'm also on the Sword Art Online, Classic Who, and Ruby panels. And you can find Megan. Yes, all of the panels. And you can find Megan at The Menguin, TheMenguin, on Twitter. And she is also on Classic Who and Ruby.
Who sadly couldn't be with us this week, but she should be back next week, I believe. So,
I think so.
We'll have her back next week. See you guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.